Hey guys, so welcome to Light Plot Life, how to read lighting documentation. I'm going to talk through some of the basics of the light plot, and then you guys will follow along and label your own light plots as we go. So I've set up that assignment for you in Canvas, and I talked a little bit of that in the intro video. So now you should know how to work between watching this video and labeling the positions on your light plot. I'm also going to talk about what the other symbols mean, how the legend and key work, and how you're going to find information on the existing light plots for your light plot scavenger hunt, which is your summative assessment that'll happen at the end of class today. So let's start with a basic reminder about what the theater space looks like. Okay, so if you're looking at this theater space, right? This is the fake theater I created for this assignment. There are a couple of places that you want to make sure you know. So one is your center line. That's always your vertical line that goes down the center, top to bottom. And then you have a plaster line, and the plaster line runs directly left and right at the proscenium. So if we're looking in a regular theater space, your proscenium, if you remember, is the window to the fireplace. And so your plaster line is an invisible line that runs just at that proscenium line. This is super important for us because this is how we number our instruments, is based on the plaster line. We number our positions based on plaster line, okay? The other things that I'm sure you know, but I'm just going to give you these quick reminders, are that that little part that sticks out in front of the plaster line but is still part of the stage is usually called the apron. And then off to the left and right we have wings, right? And then lastly, we don't want to forget about our stage right and our stage left, because stage right and stage left are super important locations on stage, because when we number our lighting instruments, we number from stage left to stage right as opposed to from our normal left to right. So when you put those instrument numbers in, you're going to start on stage left, you're going to count across, and it's going to seem like you're counting backwards, but that's how your unit numbers are assigned. So then let's add in to this drawing of the theater some lighting positions, okay? So our lighting positions now look like pipes, right? Because we're in ground plan view. We have 5 lighting positions in this imaginary theater. I don't have any booms, which would be vertical pipes on the floor. But for today, we're just going to talk about a light plot with only horizontal pipes, okay? So in your horizontal pipe light plot, you have electrics, which are the pipes that are above the stage, and you have front of house positions, or AP positions, which are above the house. So let's talk about electrics first, and then we'll get out into the house in a minute. Over the stage, this is our first electric, okay? We're counting away from the proscenium line, away from the plaster line. So that's our second electric, and then this is our third electric, okay? So that covers the numbering system on stage. You'll also number your boom positions, for example, from the plaster line going away from it, okay? If we talk about things that are over the house, then we're going to be talking about front of house positions. So one FOH, or front of house, or one AP, and AP stands for anti-proscenium, which means that it's in front of the proscenium. It's on the house side of the proscenium. So your one FOH is going to be the front of house position closest to the plaster line, closest to the stage. Your 2 FOH is going to be your lighting position that is the next step away from the stage. Okay? So I'm going to have you pause and fill in that information on your worksheet so that you'll submit that to me so that I know that you've connected those dots as well. So then the next thing we want to understand is, how do we read the rest of the symbols on the light plot, okay? So this is your symbol key. This is going to be on every light plot you ever see. There will be some sort of a key, and it's going to tell you what the symbols in the plot are with respect to each individual type of light, okay? So each type of light has a specific symbol that's assigned to it. This key will tell you how to decode that. So if I ask you about a certain light on a certain position, you'll be able to tell me what kind of light it is based on the symbol key, okay? So that's how you're using it, kind of like a little decoder ring. So if we look at our light plot now, I've added in a bunch of lighting fixtures, okay? So you'll see that there are lights that are each different flavor going on, right? Above the stage, we have some 8-inch Fresnels. Off to the stage left and right, we have some 50-degree source 4s because they have those nice wide beam angles because they're a short throw close to the stage. And then over in the house, we have some 26-degree source 4s. And you can identify them based on what the symbol looks like, okay? So that's your symbol key, pretty straightforward. The next thing we want to talk about is the legend. So the legend is telling you what the numbering systems that are layered in on top of your lighting symbols, because when you see a light plot, it's not going to look like this. Each of those lights is going to have a bunch of identifying information attached to it, okay? So the legend is saying, where does the unit number go? Where do I find the channel? Where do I find the color? Okay, so unit numbers, first step, right? Your unit numbers are a way of organizing the lighting instruments by position. There's a piece of paperwork that goes with this idea, which is called an instrument schedule. So the instrument schedule organizes every light in your light plot by position. You'll see that if you scroll down in those light plots you can download. If you scroll down past the pretty pictures, there's going to be a whole instrument schedule attached, and that's organizing those fixtures by position. The reason being that if you're hanging a big show, you want to fly a pipe in on your magical fly system that we don't have in the PAC, and then you can just hang all of the lights along that pipe and fly it back out again. And if you have an instrument schedule, it's going to tell you exactly what things go on that pipe. So you're doing it by position. So your unit numbers then are assigned from stage left to stage right along those positions. So if you look up at the second electric, okay, which is the second pipe away from the proscenium on stage, you'll see that there are 5 units on that pipe, and we start off stage left with the 50-degree source 4 as unit 1. Then there are 3 Fresnels across the center, units 2, 3, and 4, and then last on the other side is another 50-degree unit, that's unit 5. So if I'm asking about that 50-degree unit on the end of the pipe, I would ask you a question about what's going on with unit 5 on the second electric, okay? And what kinds of things might I also need to know about that? For example, I would want to know what channel it is, right? So I would say, what channel is unit 5 on that second electric? And then I can look in the little circle, right, behind the light. So if we go back and we look at our legend, unit number is right on the middle of the instrument. Channel is in a circle behind it, and color is out in front. So adding channels are behind each light in a little circle. Those channels are, if you remember when we were in class, those channels are how we turn the light on at the light board, okay? So I'm organizing the lights in a way that makes sense for me to turn them on in the light board. So I want all of my front of house lighting instruments, for example, to come on kind of in the same order, right? So I've organized it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across that front of house position list, okay? So that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, those are your channel numbers for that system of lights, right? My side lights, my high side lights, those 50-degree units over the stage, those are numbered 21, 22, 23, 24, because I would turn those high side lights on at the same time, right? The same with the backlight system. So I'm basically organizing it more by purpose, and purpose is generally going to be around what angle of light that light is coming from, okay? So if you think about your high side light, your front light, those lights are all going to want to come on at the same time, so that's the way that they're organized by channel. So then the last piece of information on this simplified plot is going to be the color label, right? So colors are identified in gel by the company and then a color number. So if you look at the front of each of these lights, they have little R and then a 2 or 3 number code, okay? So that's how you look up a specific color in the Roscoe gel book. So R360 is like a mostly transparent blue in the Roscoe gel book. R80 is a very dark blue in the gel book, and that color gel code is going to be information right where the gel goes on the light. So this is where you're going to look to find the answer to the question, what color is unit 3 on this third electric, right? And you go look and you see what that color is based on your key, okay? You'll see that that's R80, and that's the way that that is going to add up for you, okay? So now, we got the basic lay of the land. I'm going to give you 3 example plots that have all of that information on them, and walk you through where you're going to find stuff, and then you're going to download these 3 plots and do this light plot scavenger hunt with this information, okay? So our first example plot is from Karen Lawrence, who's a fantastic lighting designer. She did this production of An American in Paris. And in class, if we were doing this, I would print it out and it would be a gigantic sheet of paper. It would be 24 by 36 inches, but you have a computer, so you're gonna have to like zoom in and scroll around. This is that light plot, okay? So if you look at this plot as a whole, you can see there's an instrument key, right? Once again, just like we saw before. There's a legend, and in this light plot, the lighting instruments have even more detailed information attached in the legend, okay? They have a template number, so that's what gobo would it have. They have a color. They have an indication if there's a scroller, or if there's a template in the light, there's a little triangle that sits inside of it, okay? If it has an iris unit, then it has a little circle, round irisy bit inside of it, okay? Unit number is where you think it would be. Purpose, channel, and dimmer are all listed with each fixture, although most fixtures don't actually have a dimmer. So on this plot, whereas on my plot, it was in a circle, the channel number, in this plot, it's in kind of a heavy rectangle, a bold rectangle. And so that would be where you would find that information on Karen's plot, okay? You also see you have all of your standard lighting positions, right, that we have talked about. So you have your electrics, you have your first electric, your second electric, your third electric. Then you have beam positions, which is another word for a front of house position. So FOH, beam, AP, all kinds of different words for the positions that are out over the audience. So you'll see that you have your first beam, top and bottom. You have your second beam, top and bottom. And that's because those beams have 2 pipes, one above the other, out in the house in a catwalk, okay? Other things that you're going to see in this plot are things like your booms and your floor mounts, right? So you can see those fixture positions, but you don't actually see the lights that are hanging on those until you get to the next page of the light plot, okay? So if we go to page 2, now we have detail information about the booms. This is a deck plot, okay? And you can see that in her title block. It says deck plan down in the corner. So you take that deck plan, and that's where you would look for information about where the lights would hang in the booms, right? So booms, again, are a flat pipe, like a flat base with a pipe coming out of them. We use them for our dance shows all the time, right? So you have to have a vertical pipe. So she has 6 booms in this plot, and those boom positions are detailed down at the bottom of this iteration of the light plot, okay? So that's all on the deck plan. Anything that's attached to the floor or the scenery, instead of being attached to the lighting positions that are overhead, are going to be found on usually the second page of a light plot, which will be the deck plan, okay? And then the third plate of the light plot is a section view, okay? So a section view, if you remember, is when you slice down the middle of the theater and you look to the left or the right. So in a lighting plot, the section view is important because that's how the lighting designer measures the angles that the light is coming from. And it also helps you, when you're reading it, to better understand what those positions look like and where they're arranged in space. The actual fixtures are not particularly, like you're not seeing an actual, like this is where unit 5 is situation on this plate, but you will see where those positions hang, where the electrics are, where the booms are, what it looks like from a section perspective across the whole show. Okay, so that's An American in Paris. Let's look at someone else's paperwork, okay? We're gonna look at Martha's, who is another great lighting designer, so Martha Carter. This is her design for Driving Miss Daisy, and she has a slightly different organization, so we're gonna go look at that now. Because a lot of what we'll do when we're handed a light plot is figure out what this designer is saying, okay? So Her symbol key is still kind of in the same part. It just says symbols instead of key, okay? She also has accessories in their own category where it's like, this is what a top hat would be. Here's where my barn doors would be. This is when I look at the plot, what those things are going to look like. And then she has a legend also where it says where those labels are. So she has a little circle on the back of the light for the channel number. She's got your unit number. She's got your color. She's got your gobo number. It's all super tiny because this is, again, meant to be printed out on a giant sheet of paper where you would be able to actually read all of that stuff. Luckily, you'll be able to zoom in your computer when you open up that PDF, and you'll be able to see all of that information, okay? You also have information down along the side, right? So you have information about revisions of this plot. You have notes from the designer. You have the electric scale, like the sheet layer. She's got this kind of cool title block situation. She's got all of her gobos running down the other side so that it's easy to see when she has identified a gobo for a light, what pattern that gobo represents, okay? So that is her overhead light plot, her electrics plan. So she also has a second plate with a deck and a boom plan, okay? So you'll see she has 3 booms sitting upstage, and then she has 2 booms that are a little further downstage, right? And you'll notice she's counted those booms going up and around, right? Again, from stage left to stage right, the same way that she's counting instruments on her electrics. And then if you look down at the bottom, there's a plan about those booms, and so that's going to say which light is on the bottom, the medium, the top of that boom, okay? So that's where you would find information about lights on the booms. She has deck mount fixtures. She has a corkboard light, right, that's part of the set, and those are all in this deck plan where we're saying how does the lighting on the stage work, okay? And then lastly, she also has a section view, which is showing the angles, right, of the various lighting positions, right? So you can see there's your AP positions, AP1, AP2, AP3. She also has a balcony rail, right? And then where are those overhead pipes over the stage that are her electrics. All right, one more, and then you're gonna go hunt down information yourself. So our last example plot is a much smaller venue. It's from the CSArts production of She Kills Monsters that was designed by Derek Jones. This is at the Sierra Madre Playhouse, which many of you are familiar with, okay? And he's got all of the information about 2 booms, 2 tail downs, which are pipes that hang down from the grid with fixtures on them. His light plot also includes information about what purpose individual lights have. You can look down at the bottom to find an instrument key and a legend that explain that information. It has all of your instrument numbers going across, right? It has all of that standard stuff, as well as you can kind of see through to the set, okay? And that's another way that a light plot might be organized. And this light plot is actually designed to print on 11 by 17 paper. Because it's a much smaller space, it's easier to print that out and hand it out. And again, if we were at school, I would give you a copy, but we are distance learning. Here is our life, okay? So that's the basic tour of these different light plots. Here's what I'd like to have you do for our next class, okay? I'd like you to go back and label the positions on the sample light plot. And that assignment is, again, in Canvas, and it is attached to that assignment. I just gave you a Google Slides template, so you can just type in and label those lighting positions on that template. So that should be pretty quick and easy, and all of it is in the beginning of this video. Then I want you to download these 3 light plots that I've just talked to you about, and I'll have you complete the light plot scavenger hunt assignment on Canvas, okay? So that scavenger hunt assignment is going to ask you things like, what color is unit 3 on the second electric in the Driving Miss Daisy light plot? And that's the kind of information you should be able to look at the legend, look at the key, find the unit number in the middle of the light, and identify those fixtures. Okay? So definitely let me know if you have any questions, And I will see you very soon via a computer and not IRL. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.